Hey everyone, let's just dive right into today's explainer. We're going to be uncovering the invisible forces that are quite literally silently destroying homes in Jacksonville, Florida. Plus, we'll get into the actual economics of how professional plumbers step in to save the day. Today, we're focusing on something completely hidden from view, well, right up until it becomes a massive, incredibly expensive emergency. We're talking about the highly specific geographic water wars happening right now inside the walls and underneath the foundations of Duval County. So here's our roadmap. We're going to trace the entire anatomy of a plumbing crisis. We'll start with Jacksonville's coastal plumbing battle, dive into the environmental and infrastructure threats, look at predictable local pipe catastrophes, walk through the professional fix process, and finally wrap up with the economics of plumbing, so you know exactly what your plumber actually earns. All right, Section 1, Jacksonville's coastal plumbing battle. To really grasp why plumbing fails so much around here, we first have to understand the unique geographic battlefield of Duval County. Now, you might be wondering, why do pipes here fail so often? Well, honestly, it's not just bad luck. Jacksonville residents actually face way more frequent plumbing emergencies than folks in most other American cities, and it's due to this really brutal combination of intense heat, crazy humidity, and aging infrastructure. When you look at the sheer volume of emergency calls that local experts, like the teams at Titan Plumbing, field every single day, it becomes crystal clear. Building homes right near the St. Johns River and the Atlantic coast? Yeah, that comes with some severe, ongoing mechanical consequences. Which brings us to Section 2, environmental and infrastructure threats. Let's see how this specific environment systematically attacks a home's plumbing. It's fascinating and kind of terrifying how Jacksonville's natural features perfectly map out to specific, costly infrastructure failures. If you live anywhere near the coast, that ocean breeze is nice, but the salt air is rapidly corroding your exposed copper lines and fixtures. Deep underground, the Floridan aquifer is pumping hard water into your house, actively leaving mineral deposits inside your water heater and basically slashing its lifespan. And because Jacksonville has a remarkably shallow water table, the ground stays super saturated. This means thirsty tree roots are constantly seeking out and crushing your sewer lines, while the shifting, wet ground easily cracks old cast iron pipes. Oh, and our local climate creates some nasty invisible enemies inside your walls too, like biofilm. Because of our intense year-round humidity, this slimy layer of microorganisms actually thrives inside your dark drain lines. It acts exactly like flypaper, just grabbing and trapping debris over time. You may think pouring a bottle of chemical drain opener will fix it, but really, that just burns a tiny hole through the center. It leaves the living biofilm totally intact, practically guaranteeing your sink is going to back up again next month. Okay, let's roll into Section 3, predictable local pipe catastrophes. The really crucial point I want you to take away here is that these failures are not random. They are highly predictable based on exactly where you live. Your zip code is essentially your plumbing destiny. If you live in an older, historic bungalow, you're fighting a completely different war than someone out in a brand new no-key development. Local experts know exactly what to expect. In Riverside, Avondale, and Springfield, plumbers are constantly battling 1940s and 50s galvanized pipes that are literally rusting from the inside out, plus those massive, mature oak tree roots crushing sewer lines. Move over to the south side in Mandarin, and rapid development has sparked municipal pressure issues and catastrophic slab leaks in concrete foundations. Out at the beaches, relentless salt air corrosion. And on the north side, plumbers are frequently tackling the complexities of well water pressure tanks. To combat all of this chaos, Florida code requires specific venting and expansion tanks just to handle our extreme climate. Since our plumbing systems are closed off to prevent backflow contamination, the thermal expansion from a heating water tank needs somewhere to go safely. Unpermitted work done by a random, unlicensed handyman usually completely ignores these strict local codes. And that leads to crazy things like trap siphoning, which is when nasty sewer gases leak directly into your living room, or even the bizarre cold water sandwich effect in your shower because the equipment was improperly sized or installed. That leads us to Section 4, the professional fix process. Because when the inevitable emergency strikes, how do the actual professionals handle the chaos? There's a very structured three-step approach designed to completely remove the panic from a burst pipe or a sewage backup. It replaces all that chaos with predictable, guaranteed relief. Think about it. At 2 a.m. with water rising in your hallway, you do not want to leave a voicemail. The professional standard in Jacksonville means a real live person answers the phone and a fully stocked truck is dispatched within an hour. Then comes the most critical part. Using high-tech camera inspections to actually diagnose the root issue, no guessing allowed, and providing a firm price before anyone even touches a wrench. Finally, the The job just isn't done until it's pressure tested, your house is cleaned up, and a written warranty is handed over to you. I love this quote from the folks at Titan Plumbing. You approve the cost before we start, and that price does not change. That is exactly what you should demand during a stressful crisis. When raw sewage is backing up into your primary bathtub, you are at your absolute most vulnerable. Knowing that the price is totally locked in protects you from a bill that suddenly spirals out of control just because the repair took a couple of hours longer than expected. All right, let's get into Section 5, the economics of plumbing. We're going to demystify the bill and uncover the hidden economics of the plumbing trade. Knowing when to ask for a flat rate instead of an hourly bill is a massive takeaway. It could honestly save you hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars if you're facing a major installation. Hourly billing might sound super fair up front, but it really only saves you money on incredibly quick, simple jobs like swapping out a basic faucet cartridge. If a plumber opens up a wall and suddenly encounters deeply corroded pipes behind the drywall, an hourly job can double or triple in price in an instant. Flat rate pricing absorbs that risk for you. The plumbing company takes the hit if it takes too long, giving you absolute certainty for emergencies and complex repairs. So $75 to $150. That is the standard hourly rate to call out a licensed plumber in Florida. And that often includes an initial service call fee just to cover the gas, the truck, and the diagnosis. Oh, and if it's a weekend or a holiday, yeah, expect that rate to be 1.5 to 2 times higher. Now, I know that sounds like a ton of money on paper, but let's actually break down what you're funding. When you pay that steep repair bill, you are directly funding a solid, middle-class living for tradespeople. These are professionals who have to maintain state licenses, heavy insurance, and the extreme technical expertise required to navigate Florida's incredibly strict building codes. These folks aren't just handymen, they are highly trained technicians. And in Florida, where there's no state income tax, that salary range goes a long way towards supporting families right here in our local Jacksonville neighborhoods. Let's do the math on that. A $70,000 yearly salary actually breaks down to just about $33.65 an hour for the skilled technician who is knee-deep in water fixing your flooded house in the middle of the night. So where does the rest of that $150 hourly fee go? It goes straight into maintaining the fleet of fully stocked trucks, the massive commercial liability insurance policies, the state contractor licensing fees, workers' comp, and the continuous education they need to legally keep up with changing Florida codes. So before you let anybody tear a hole in your drywall, you need to use this mental checklist to verify you are hiring a competent professional and not a walking liability. Unlicensed work is literally the source of so many cascading plumbing disasters in Duval County. If they don't have a valid state license, if they don't have insurance, and if they can't hand you a written upfront estimate, they absolutely should not be working on your home. Period. Because understanding Jacksonville's unique environmental threats really is your best defense. Whether it's the salt air creeping in, the hard water eating your water heater, or those giant oak roots searching for moisture in your sewer lines, the threat is always there. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Is your home's hidden infrastructure silently failing right now? And more importantly, do you know exactly who to call when the water starts rising?